Hey guys, it's a POTS flare-up day, but Polly still needs her daily ulcer supplement, so here we are. If you're curious, this is the fit. SpongeBob hoodie, Crocs, although I think I'm gonna have to switch those into boots because it is really muddy. It's a hat day because I am unshowered and so my hair is unwashed and greasy as hell. I wanted to feel a little bit less dead and look a little bit less dead, so I did some makeup, although it looks awful, but at least I look a little bit less dead than I did this morning. I spent pretty much all day up until about an hour ago sitting on the couch. And I think it's like 4 p.m. now. Or 3:30? What time is it? 3:50. I'm close. If you didn't know, horses can feel a human heartbeat from 4 feet away. And so, as you can imagine, as a person with POTS, this is kind of problematic because I don't always have full control over my heart rate. And by that I mean I literally never have control over it. When I was really just dealing with the anxiety, I was able to really force myself to relax and take deep breaths, and then I was able to calm myself enough that Polly would realize, okay, she's not anxious. But then now with the POTS, she's like, you're anxious, you're scared, and I'm like, promise I'm not. And so I would literally just talk to her and tell her, like, I know that you think I'm scared, I know that you think I'm anxious, I promise you that I'm not. And she has seemed to like start to make the differentiation, if you know what I mean. She has started to realize that sometimes my heart is like that, but I'm okay. And so she'll kind of like, she'll look at me and she'll kind of like assess me and she'll go, okay, you're okay. Oh, by the way, I said that I was wearing a SpongeBob hoodie, but I'm also wearing black EQUESTRIAN riding leggings. And normally, especially in this like muddy conditions, I would have my my Durnan Farmwear quick dry overalls on, but because it's a long sweater, it just doesn't really work. And honestly, today I'm just kind of doing the bare minimum, so we got our muck boots on. Polly is currently getting a daily ulcer supplement because, well, she has ulcers, and so even though she could miss a day and like it wouldn't kill her, I would rather be here and get it into her because it's going to be more effective that way. So let's make her food. All right, so my car is an absolute mess. Let us not dwell on that. So I've got her food all soaked up here in this container. Normally I would just soak it directly into her feed pan, but her feed pan was in the car and the container was in the house, so I saved a trip. So she gets basically like a little scoop of plain beet pulp. Also, yeah, I know again, let's not talk about how gross the car is. It needs to be cleaned, but it's been so freaking cold, I haven't been able to. So this is a scoop of plain beet pulp pellets. No additional sugar here for this girl. And then also the Mad Barn Omniety. And then in this dirty little container here, we've got MSM and vitamin E. They are both from Mad Barn. I am a hardcore Mad Barn girly. And then this is her ulcer supplement. It's formulated by my trainer who is going into the supplement business. And I will tell you guys that this is the best thing I've ever done for her and her gut health. Like, not only has this improved her, like, it's improved everything for her. Like, the way that we knew she had ulcers was from her behavior, because she became this massive anxious mess. And the last time that she had ulcers was about a year ago, and we did 2 months on Mad Barn Visceral, which did help at the time, but it became clear this year that we didn't get them all. And so then we put her on my trainer supplement that she has formulated, and within a week and a half I noticed a shift, and then within a month it was like I had a completely different horse. I swear to God, like, it's absolutely insane. I cannot wait until this gets onto the market because it's gonna help so many horses. Like, I swear to God, this is the best thing I've ever done for Polly's nutrition and her overall health. All right, so that's her food, and yeah, she's staring at me, so let's go get her. Hi, pretty lady. How you doing? Are you just like not wanting to step through the puddle? Are you coming over, or you're gonna make me come in? We were having so much water draining down the hill into the paddock, so they took some of the manure and dirty bedding and just kind of packed it in here, which has helped up until whatever this is that's forming. Hi, Francine. How are you doing, little lady? Hi. How you doing? Want to put this on? Oh, good girl. Oh, Oh no. That's honestly the hardest part about using a rope halter, is getting it over her neck. Normally I just drop the rope on the ground right now, but we are standing in the middle of a puddle, so let's not do that. But yeah, trying to get a rope halter over top of her neck is definitely tricky because she's a tall girl. So that's why one of the things I want to teach her is to basically self-halter, like lower her head for it and self-bridle. Because as a person with POTS, holding my hands up above my head can worsen my symptoms. So, hi. Yeah, no, we're going to have to get through here, Fran. You can tell her to move, but that doesn't mean move up into my space. Nope, back up. Thank you. But yeah, if you didn't know, having your hands or your arms up over top of your head is actually a big trigger for POTS symptoms, and it can bring symptoms on, or it can just make, current symptoms worse. So anything that I can do to try to keep my arms down here is better. So that would actually be a great level for her to hold her head while I'm doing her bridle or her halter. She doesn't ever pull her face away from the halter really, but teaching her to lower her head into it will definitely make things easier for me in the long run. She has become significantly more interested in her food since I switched her over to plain beet pulp. She was on, oh my god, can you maybe not drop that much food out of your mouth? I've had to take to holding her food for her because otherwise she just drops it everywhere. And I've had people be like, oh my god, is there something wrong with her teeth? Get her teeth checked. I'm like, no, I promise her teeth are fine. She gets annual dental examinations, and every time the vet's like, her teeth are practically perfect. She usually only ever has one slightly sharp edge. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that she refuses to engage her lips. She constantly has a droopy lip even when she's eating, so she just drops it all the time. And normally I would have no problem with her dropping it on grass and then just eating it up, but because what we have right now isn't even really grass, it's basically just mud with a little bit of grass sticking out, I'd rather her not eat straight off of the ground because she'll basically just be eating mud, and that's a good cause of colic. I'm definitely feeling a lot better right now than I was when I first woke up. When I woke up, I was so dehydrated, it was bad. I'm definitely not feeling good right now, I'm very short of breath, but I'm feeling a bit better. Must we fly planes overhead while I am vlogging? This is the problem with being near an airport. Surprisingly, she's actually not that dirty. I mean, she's got this patch here, but this isn't too bad. I did her tail a few days ago. This is what I call a cheater's fishtail. Basically, I can fishtail braid, but it's a lot more work with her tail, especially since she has so many layers, because sometimes I just have to cut hair out because it gets too matted with poop and pee. And if you're wondering why, it's because her tail is docked. So her tail ends right here, and that's where the tail attachment is. So it should be down here. It's way up there. So she can't actually lift her tail any higher than parallel to the ground, which means that a lot of stuff gets caught here, and that's why it gets very stained. But this is what I do, a protective style basically. I pull the hair from underneath over top. What I do like about the cheater fishtail, as opposed to actually doing a braid, is that with a braid, if one elastic comes undone, then you're screwed, the whole thing falls apart. But because each of these layers is elastic, then it stays together. And dirty on the hocks, that's pretty okay. This side's a bit more dirty, but still overall, honestly, not bad. Not bad. Okay, so I've moved over to some grass that I'm actually comfortable with her eating, because it's more than just half an inch. When I let her graze, I typically either just leave the whole rope on the ground, which a lot of people get stressed out by because they're like, oh my god, she's gonna step on it, she's gonna get caught, she's gonna freak out. She doesn't. She used to. But one of the first things that my trainer worked on me with was teaching her to have an idea of where her feet are. So proprioception, know where she is in space. So she used to basically step on her rope and she would, freak out, as many horses do when they realize they can't move. But now she typically has no response to it. She just goes, oh, well, shit. And then she figures out how to move her feet to fix the problem, or she will stand there and wait for me to fix it, either of which are acceptable options. But I've recently been taking more towards when I'm just letting her have the option of just grazing however she wants, is I'll put this over her back like that and let her hold it, because then there isn't any sort of confusion about whether or not she's supposed to be ground tied. because ground tying is also a thing that she does know how to do now. It's not like extended, like she can't do it for several minutes at a time, but she does know what it means, and she knows that there's an expectation behind it. But I want to get some of this mud off. If you have a gray, well, any horse, but particularly if you have a gray, you need one of these brushes. It is literally the best thing for getting dirt and mud off. I swear to God, nothing is as good as this, and it's like $5. However, it is currently shedding season, so I am probably going to be covered in hair by the end of this. Also, if I sound like I'm out of breath, I am. That's one of the things that has been happening today. What's up? She just noticed something. Might just be the plane overhead. Oh, lots of dirt flying off, I also really wish that I owned sunglasses right now, because I am finding that I'm very sensitive to the sunlight right now. Like, it's hurting my eyes, and it's not actually that bright, but what are you gonna do? Is this one? Oh, this hawk's not too bad. So it's just a couple spots. Look at all the hair in there. Weirdly, she hasn't started. Normally by this point, because we're like almost halfway into March now, normally she'd be shedding way more than this, but this year her shedding seems to be delayed. And I've had several people ask me online if Polly has Cushing's. She doesn't. I actually had her tested a couple months ago because I was concerned about it, because we were wondering if there was something metabolic going on. Currently there isn't. That was basically just like her insulin levels are just high enough that it's like, okay, it just means that she's fat, but not that there's something else going on. So she doesn't have Cushing's, unless she's developed it in the past like month and a half, which I highly doubt. The weather has also been kind of confusing recently, because it's been like cold, and then it got warmer, and then it got cold again. Not that temperature dictates when they shed. It's actually, they shed based off of photocycles, so light, but the sun has also been confusing, so her body clock might just be a bit wonky. Get away. Let's see what the shedding blade can do today. Nothing on the neck really. How about the chest? And a little more on the chest. She's got a very fluffy chest. I'm actually surprised that she's not sweating. Like, she's pretty warm, but she's not sweating. That's good. It's just odd, because normally she would definitely be sweating at this temperature. But I think what helps her is that it's been not like super windy today, but there's been a bit of a breeze. I don't think you guys can see all the hair that's flying off of her, but there is little hairs flying off. Also, if you ever notice that like my tack or my brushes say Lil Cat on them, and I think that's probably going to be backwards on camera, but that is because at my old barn there were two cats. There was me and there was my friend, and because my friend was older than me, she was Cat and I was Lil Cat. Little Cat. Which is funny, because I think I actually am an inch taller than her. But oh well. Yeah, she's just got like a couple hairs coming off here and there. Okay, I gotta crouch for a second. Whew. My head is absolutely killing me right now. Like, I feel like there are miners trying to break through my brow bone with pickaxes. And I'm just like, I'm not like crazy lightheaded, but I'm just kind of like woozy. I think it's kind of exacerbated by the fact that I feel kind of nauseous. Polly's confused about how this thing keeps moving. It's moving because you're moving. If you stayed put, it would stay put. Oh, there's a lot more coming off of this shoulder. So I've had a surprising amount of people comment on my last video about being an equestrian with POTS, saying that, you know, they had never found any other equestrians with POTS online, and that they were, you know, interested in hearing my tips and whatnot. There's a lot of stuff that I definitely need to learn. There's a lot more coming off this side. There's a lot more stuff that I definitely need to learn, because I've only recently gotten back into consistent riding. I was doing a couple months of like one lesson a week at like a lesson barn. But I just started co-boarding a horse here at my barn. And I'm going to be riding her like 2-3 times a week, so more consistent riding. And I've done a couple weeks of that already. And I will say that I need to be more careful as I'm riding about like noticing when I start getting like really lightheaded and just like stop, or just like, okay, we're walking now, as opposed to trying to push myself to like continue to try to accomplish whatever I was trying to accomplish in that ride. Because frankly, once I start getting lightheaded, I'm not riding well anymore. So like I'm not going to be able to get that square turn at a trot if I'm really freaking lightheaded. And it's also not good to be on a horse if you're really lightheaded, or at least not at more than a walk. So I just have to be more like accepting of, okay, like these things are going to happen, and sometimes I'm going to feel that way, and I just kind of have to suck it up and deal with it. It can definitely be a bit of like kick to your ego, but it's not like I'm training for the Olympics. There is no need for me to push my body to do more than it is capable of doing. And I mean, like, whether I ride 15 minutes or 35 minutes, the horse I'm riding doesn't really care. She only cares that I'm not, you know, bouncing around on her back like crazy because I am lightheaded, you know? What are you looking at? So that's the kind of thing also that we're working on, is there. A couple months ago, she probably would have continued to turn into me and just expected me to move. We need to get rid of that. We need to get rid of that expectation that she can just do whatever she wants and can move anyone out of the way to do it, because that is a dangerous habit. As much as we want her to have say in what she's doing and her life, she doesn't get to be the leader. She doesn't get to be in charge, because her being the leader and being in charge usually results in at least one of us being injured, and usually it's me. Okay, my headache is getting significantly worse, and I feel like I'm squinting a lot, which I do when I get my like migraines here. And I've basically been chronically out of breath this whole time. I haven't been too bad when I'm with her actually, but I am starting to get more lightheaded. And I fed her, I brushed her. She has had a bunch of grass, and so I think I am going to put her back in her field now and head home, because the way that I'm feeling right now is usually when it's like, okay, within like an hour, I'm gonna be basically dead to the world. And I want to be able to get home and still, like, you know, be able to let my dog outside and whatnot. So yeah, we're gonna go put her back in the brain fog has, I forgot the words. Good girl. Yeah, you can see that her brain is still on the grass, which, fair enough. I brought you this. She normally doesn't get very many, like, fruit and veggie treats right now, just because we are trying to get her to lose weight. And just, you know, as the spring grass is coming in, she's going to be much more susceptible to things like laminitis and anything metabolic, because she's also a draft and she's not in much work right now. Good girl. But she gets them every once in a while, because she's such a good girl. Yes, I know. You need your cookies and your kisses. You did such a good job today. Okay. And we need to kick off our friends, apparently. Bye. The sass. You can also see some of the results of Polly's shedding here. She's got a couple little clumps of hair. Within a couple weeks, she will most likely be shedding like a maniac. I really need to clean this. This is bad. And the back seat is even full. Like, I've got like my boots and my gloves and my everything. I'm just realizing that it's almost 5 o'clock, and by the time I get home it's gonna be like just after 5, and then I'm gonna snuggle the dog for like 20 minutes, and then, you know, when all is said and done, it's gonna be like 5:30, and that means I have to think about what I'm gonna eat for dinner. And honestly, even the idea of just like putting leftovers in the microwave right now sounds like a lot of work. I actually was not nearly as bad as I was when I was getting ready to leave the house, and when this morning I was so bad I did not think I was going to get to the barn. Even like half an hour before I left, I did not think I was going to get here. I'm glad that I did. Gave me a little bit of time to relax outside, get some sunshine, and see the girl, obviously. Because to be completely honest, like, even with everything you were seeing, I probably seemed fine, but most of that time I felt like shit. And that is one of the things that's important to keep in mind. It's like, if you're watching this, my guess is you either are chronically ill and have POTS, or know someone that's chronically ill and has POTS. And if you have POTS or you have a chronic illness, then you know that even when you seem fine, you're always feeling symptoms, and you can seem completely fine to the outside world and you can feel like absolute shit. But if you don't have that, you might not know it. So you do what you gotta do. But at the same time, for my other POTS people out there, my other chronic illness people, if you don't feel like you can do something with your horse or with an animal safely, don't do it. Because like, I have days where I'm so dizzy and disoriented that I'm like, if I go stay in the fields, like, I'm gonna get run over. I'm not gonna have the wherewithal to defend myself, get big, save myself from the situation. And so if you have days or moments like that and you're like, oh, I don't think I'm like aware, like my reaction time is messed up or whatever it is, don't do it, because it's not worth it. Even if it's a thing like I said, Polly's ulcer supplement, right? It's a daily supplement, but if she missed a day, it's not going to kill her. So I knew, okay, you know what, if I can get there, even if I'm just there long enough to put a feed pan in front of her and leave, then that's okay. But if I don't feel like I'm going to do it safely, she's not going to die if she doesn't get it, right? Anyways, that is the moral of the story, is don't push yourself. I definitely pushed myself a bit today, not past the point where I felt safe, but to the point where I feel like for the rest of the night, I'm basically not going to be able to do anything, which is another risk that you run when you go out to the barn or you do something really physical on the bad days like that. But it is what it is. You kind of just have to do what you can. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had some fun with me. Hope maybe, I don't know, I was interesting. I don't know. I don't even really know. I decided to film this very last minute, but yeah, is what it is. I love you guys, and I will see you later.